What Mon has already provided to you is a bit already comprehensive. No? So I'll try also my best to congest and to compress the discussions and learning points that we have for SDN, NFV, and OpenFlow. Now, as a quick review, no, what we have discussed in our one session about SDN and NFV, we were able to learn briefly what is SDN is. It is essentially a technology that was primarily used for the IT industry. However, throughout the years and through advancements, it has also been used already in the field of telecommunications, both in mobile wireless, mobile broadband, fixed, and even in the enterprise. No? We also discussed its architecture setup, the different components found in an SDN architecture, as well as its definitions and functionalities. We also tackled the different benefits and limitations and advantages of what SDN can offer, as well as give you an overview on what the different SDN models are at the moment. We also discussed what's OpenFlow protocol, and with that, we also tackled a bit on other related technologies such as virtualization and network functions virtualization. So, although I'm going to use the existing slides that I have presented before, no, I'm just going to quickly skim through it as well. What the technology is about, and yeah, just to give you a quick refresher on what it is. No, so we discussed that SDN, NFV, SDN first. This is software-defined networking. So um, it's a technology that allows us to separate the control plane from the data plane with respect to our forwarding switches. Essentially, what we are doing in the traditional IP networking sense, it has a quick recall, no? If we don't have SDN in play, both the control plane and the data plane are found inside the switches, meaning in terms of functionality, they are used both to control how packets are being processed and forwarding the actual packets themselves. You know? But when we enable SDN, we are essentially offloading or offsetting the control part into a different component, which is now called the SDN controller. This allows us to have a centralized control console or centralized control entity across all of the switches with the benefits of having already configuration, routing, and forwarding in a single entity. Unlike in our traditional IP networking, wherein we have to individually configure the devices and the switches in order to perform standard routing procedures and standard switching procedures in an SDN environment, all we have to do is to configure it using the SDN controller, and it's already up to the SDN controller to propagate these configurations across all of the forwarding switches. Okay, now what makes SDN software defined is that, or one of its traits and characteristics, is that it allows administrators to have a single pane of glass instead of having a device visibility and configuration. We also discussed the different the architecture of what an SDN setup would have. So essentially, it consists of three layers. You have your application layer. This is where your network services would be coming in the form of, say, your firewalls, your load balancers, you know, your anti-DDoS, your web filtering, and such. And they are connected via APIs to your arguably the heart of your SDN architecture, which is the controller itself, the SDN controller. And finally, your switches belong to your infrastructure layer. Now, the control layer and the infrastructure layer is connected also via an API. This is what's called the southbound API. And in terms of protocols, we use one of the many available protocols in hand, which is OpenFlow. Okay, so we discussed the different functionalities of these layers, no, and how they interact with each other. Essentially, This is also another characteristic of software-defined networking with an emphasis of it being software-defined, wherein you already have different layers and these layers are all interacting using your APIs. Okay, so apart from that, we also discussed how does SDN compare to traditional IP networking in terms of features and functionalities, no? So, of course, SDN, it is software-based, it is centralized control, no? But with an emphasis on centralized control, um, of course, security would also be centralized. But remember, in the discussion that we had before, no, that with centralization of control also comes a much higher risk of possible attacks and vulnerabilities if the proper procedures and hardenings are not implemented on the SDN controller. Okay. Now, having said that, what are the different benefits of SDN? We have also discussed this. So we have four. So simplified policy changes, network management, and visibility. These two connotate, or these two is realized through the SDN controller being a centralized node of configuration and management across your entire network. Then we also have reduced hardware footprint OPEX and networking innovations. These two, on the other hand, no, this is realized in the form of having already a software-defined architecture wherein it's not necessarily needed that the capabilities of an SDN environment is tied up to a specialized form of hardware. In other words, you can implement SDN not using, or you can actually have an SDN controller rather using already commercial off-the-shelf servers, no, that if you already have readily available, you can just use and just purchase the software needed for you to have your SDN. Okay, and because it is also software driven, no, it is now easier for us to not only have configurations easily done, so meaning it can easily be modifiable in the form of, say, a few point and clicks and then you're already done. It is also driven by innovation because of the nature of software to be easily configurable and manageable, no? It also drives SDN to also be a center point for innovation and new technologies to spur up. Now, with benefits of SDN, there are also challenges and limitations brought about it. The most important, or the main highlight of SDN is still security. So always keep this in mind, no? That even though you are centralizing control in a single pane of glass, remember that centralizing something also constitutes for that node to be at a higher risk of possible attacks and vulnerabilities. So it is crucial, in fact, that you enforce security not just on the forwarding switches, but or not just even in the controller itself, but in the entire network. Okay. Now, because SDN doesn't strictly follow a specific standard, you have guidelines that is developed by several organizations, one of which is the Open Networking Foundation. No? Comes also the limitation or the challenge of unclear definitions in terms of standards, no? Because different vendors and manufacturers have their own version of SDN, no? It is a bit of a challenge for us to also integrate these said systems. If, say, we want to only take bitwise piece and parcels from several vendors and build our own architecture or build our own network to suit our own needs. So third item is market confusion, meaning that because again, this points out, or this is also related to the second point, wherein because there is really no clear definition or standard on how you can implement SDN, no, there is also a bit of a I won't say much on confusion part, but really more of an ambiguous uh, feature set of what vendors can offer. No? because some solutions offered by vendors to the market nowadays, um, they would immediately slap on the title SDN enabled or SDN capable without really going much into detail on how is it considered as SDN. But we now know that SDN is just a separation of your control plane and your data plane. No, if there are features or capabilities that do not support this foundational capability, then arguably it is not considered also as SDN. Okay. And finally, no, slow adoption and costs. This also comes hand in hand with networking innovation. No? Although SDN as a technology has been around since 2011, no, up to now, its adoption and its fast turnaround time towards reaching its ultimate goal of openness and network innovation is still at large. Okay? So still, many enterprises cite the cost of SDN deployment to be a deterring factor simply because there are also limited solutions available for them to accommodate to or to get, no? Given also due to marketing confusion and unclear standards. Okay, so apart from that, we also discussed the different SDN model types. So we have discussed four, no? So remember that for us to implement SDN, we always have to keep in mind that we have the separation of the control plane from the user plane. It doesn't also have to follow that both of these, the control plane and the user plane, is purely software driven. In fact, you can implement SDN just by having already existing switches and controlling them via a virtual machine using SDN, using the SDN controller, right? So that is actually an example of what's called a hybrid SDN. You can also implement SDN using APIs. So it doesn't really, this is also related on what I have discussed a while ago, and even in the previous learning sessions, that just keep in mind separation of control plane from the user plane. How you implement that, it is still considered as SDN. Okay, so I won't go much here into the details of the model types. So after discussing to you guys what is SDN is as a technology, we briefly also tackled what is OpenFlow as a protocol. So we discussed that this is one of the many protocols that would allow us to implement software-defined networking in our network. No? And for us to have OpenFlow, we need also an OpenFlow enabled switch. Okay, now how does OpenFlow overlay to the SDN architecture? The OpenFlow architecture is in fact identical to how an SDN architecture would look like, meaning that you still have your three layers, your application plane, your control plane, and your data plane. The only key difference here is that you already have an OpenFlow controller controlling your forwarding switches. Okay, which is if you're going to look at it in a bigger perspective, no, the SDN controller is the OpenFlow controller is an SDN controller at that. Okay. So after discussing to you also what is OpenFlow, what is SDN, we also briefly discussed what is virtualization as a technology. So remember that SDN and NFV or network functions virtualization are complementary technologies with one another. No? And having said that, no, virtualization as a technology, we know that this is a technology that allows us to deploy systems, no, using limited hardware that is currently available on hand. No? Meaning that it removes already the dependency of functions to a specific hardware. In other words, you are essentially decoupling already the functionality of a network element from the hardware. And with that decoupling also comes the benefit of already just deploying applications or network functions, no, without really much worrying on the specific hardware where that function would reside in. as long as you have commercial off-the-shelf hardware or servers, no, at hand, no, you can already deploy virtual machines, and within those virtual machines, you can deploy your network functions. No? Now, we also compared how NFV compares to an appliance-based deployment. So again, the main highlight of what an NFV architecture would look like is the decoupling of your hardware with your software. Much like how SDN decouples the application plane from the data plane from the control plane, NFV is also decoupling the application from the hardware. So there are a lot of decoupling already, or uh, encapsulating, no, the different parts and components into its smaller pieces. No, it's because we want to have it already as sort of like a modular approach whenever we deploy our network, okay, or network components. Now, the key component also, or the main component of what an NFV architecture would have, if you are to compare this to an appliance-based deployment, is not just the decoupling of your hardware and software, but also the introduction of another component, which is called the network orchestration or centralized orchestration. No? Now, unlike in your SDN, wherein it just has, or SDN has only guidelines and steps to follow, no, NFV follows a specific standard, and in fact, this was proposed and developed by an organizing body at ETSI, European Telecommunication Standards Institute. Okay, now it's the NFV architecture I briefly discussed here as well. It is also possible for us to overlay the NFV architecture alongside the SDN architecture. No, remember that the key component of your NFV architecture is orchestration. This one, management and network orchestration. Now, remember the SDN architecture that we have. We have your application, you have your control, and your infrastructure. No? Those three layers can also be found, in fact, in your NFV architecture. No? The applications would be residing as part of your VNFs, or virtual network functions. The control would, in fact, come here. No, actually, there are also some organizations that would implement it as part of the NFV orchestrator, but the SDN controller itself can be found here as a virtualized infrastructure manager. What does it manage? Your networking switches, or your forwarding switches, which is part of your NFVI, specifically your network hardware. So notice how it is, these two technologies are interrelated with each other. Okay, so apart from that, no, having said that, no, it is now possible for us to have SDN and NFV to be operating with each other, and they complement with each other. In fact, no, we can say that SDN separates the network forwarding functions, while the NFV part is the one who can abstract the network functions from the hardware. So remember the example that I have provided here, no? That suppose I want to deploy a virtual firewall found in, say, your North Luzon region. It is logically serving the North Luzon region, but the hardware is found in, say, NCR. The storage is found in Visayas and Mindanao, and the data centers that are hosting them, in fact, or hosting the actual applications, is found, say, in North Luzon itself. So you already, or through SDN and NFV working complementary with each other, we're able to have the different components modular and in sort of like a puzzle piece setup, wherein whatever it is that you need, regardless of the geographical location, no, as long as they are connected, logically connected through your network, all of them are coherent and considered as one entity. Okay, so that's a brief on a quick primer on what SDN, NFV, and OpenFlow is. No, so we've discussed again the architecture, the different components, as well as the benefits. We also discussed briefly what is NFV as a technology and how it also complements SDN. Okay?